Because it really is too much for one person to carry without it taking a lot of time, I graciously assist in carrying all of Spoon's tools and such indoors. That's another thing. Most of what he has here is a collection of tools for working the soil, seeds and bulbs that can be planted, and some potted annuals that will have to be taken care of indoors for quite a while before they can actually be planted due to the cold climate. I'm pretty sure that the things he bought yesterday were in the same vein too. If nothing else, that means we'll be doing planning before we do any digging, and even before the rest of the digging happens, Spoon will be doing even more buying. Deep down, Manager must be beside herself with glee. As for the house itself, it's pretty bare.
Sounds like my house in the early spring.
What do you mean?
My dad likes to grow herbs, so we'll have a little tray of basically just like peat pods that he'll plant the seeds in until it's both warm enough and they're grown enough that they can survive outside and not get stolen by like birds or squirrels.
Yeah.
Except that it's very possible to accidentally trample it. Because it's just a low, flat tray that he sets in the back window.
Have you trampled it before?
I have not trampled it yet. Sassy, who is innocently sleeping on my bag right now that she sneezed on, has trampled it, though. And I think Diego has, but it's harder to say because she's just a fat lump of sleeping. So.
The walls are all plain white and unornamented, and there's just tile or linoleum or carpet floors that all look perfectly new and clean. Some rooms look more finished and used, like the kitchen that Spoon is walking off to right now, while others just don't really have anything in them at all. It's all very white, with a pile of gardening supplies and equipment making a huge noticeable mound of chaotic color in the foyer. So anyhow, it looks like he just moved in here pretty recently.
Okay, there it goes. It was lagging for a moment.
Uh-oh.
Do you want something to drink?
Spoon calls out to me from the fridge, bent over and looking into it. That's not his bent over face.
Yeah, I was going to say, where's the ass? Come on.
You don't have to actually treat me to anything. You're hiring me for a job. It's not like I'm an honored guest or anything.
Honey, that's just called being polite.
Right?
Like, the only reason that, like, my friend does not offer me a drink or anything whenever I go over to her house is because I've known her so long that she knows that both of us know. No, both of us know that I could just raid the fridge. I could walk into her house and go straight to the fridge.
I've done that before with my friends.
I know I did that. I want to say a few days ago because she had just made spaghetti before I came over. So I came over and I chilled, and then I realized, oh shit, her spaghetti is still out. I went and made myself a bowl.
Nice.
Don't say that. A guest is a guest. Be our guest. Be our guest. And if you get thirsty, I'm not going to tell you that you have to drink out of the stream behind the house. There's water. There's water. And there's soda. And I think there's some canned coffee in the back. So what do you want? Really?
Well, I've done my politeness duty and refused once, so I don't care anymore. Water is fine, I guess.
Okay, heads up. What is he gonna do?
Spoon holds up a clear... He's going to take the faucet and just spray it at her. Spoon holds up a clear plastic bottle and tosses it overhand at me, and I catch it with one hand.
Heads up, I'm going to just turn the hose on you.
Yeah.
Good lord. It's just tap water, so I hope you don't mind.
No, I'm fine with that. He closes the refrigerator and sits down at the high Western-style dinner table with a can of soda in his hand, then smiles as if beckoning me over. There seems to be a paper with a picture of the grounds and some pencils on the table, so I go sit across from him.
Where should we start?
The excited smile on Spoon's face and the way he leans forward reminds me of a little bit of the times I tutored Shiyu for something or other. She'd do a similar pose in anticipation now and again. Oh god, when they're together, it's gonna be like two puppies.
Oh no.
And since even she's grown out of wiggling in her seat from excess energy, I can't decide whether it's cute or sad to see a man my own age doing it. Let's see. I guess you should write down a list of all the plants you've already bought, another list of all the stuff you want, and then draw in here to give me an idea of which areas in your yard you actually want to use. You have a lot of room, so you could do pretty much anything you want, from just digging the areas directly around the house like a modern western garden, to making a show out of your whole yard. It's not like he's got any close neighbors to be bothered by the activity or the color.
Okay. A list of everything I bought and a list of everything else I'm gonna get.
His pencil
I
moves...
I feel like I should be trying to, like, imitate, like, Toru Honda from Fruits Basket or something.
Toru was the main character, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, it's just, I'm getting an overall Toru vibe from him. Which is not necessarily a good thing, as she's terribly, terribly naive.
Yes. That is very true. I remember that.
Like,
I also remember her living in a tent.
Yes, she didn't want to be a burden on her grandfather. So instead of being honest and being like, hey, I've got nowhere else to go while you get your house refurbished, she was like, yeah, I can stay with these people. And then moved into a tent in the woods on the Soma's property.
Yep.
Which is how that she got all wrapped up in that. It was...
That was actually a really funny series.
Yeah, I love it. Like, I've got it sitting on my shelf, but it should be a little annoying in her naivete, and more so than that, very concerning, because
so, we should be concerned about Spoon.
Yes, we should be heavily concerned about Spoon.
His pencil moves over the margins of the paper in rush strokes. The handwriting's still a bit sloppy, but it's not so bad that I can't make it out. From what I can read upside down, he's got a nice mix of large plants and small ones, and it even looks like there'll be a bit of variations as to when they each start blooming. Instead of smiling while he writes, he stares down at the paper with an expression so intense you'd think he was taking an important high school test, or filling out a job application to some company he desperately wants to get hired by. That was me this afternoon. The job one, not the high school test. I haven't taken a high school test for, let's see, over 6 years?
Yeah, I mean, I assumed it was a job one.
Yeah. His energy level is the same, though. He really does seem to be into this.
Alright, I'm done. But I guess if things are impractical, or if I see anything else really good at the store, the list might change.
Spoon tilts his head to one side, scratches at his temple with the pencil eraser, and sets the pencil back down. Not that it's anything that I haven't already observed, but still, it appears my client is the spontaneous type. Okay then.
Wait, is that you or me?
It's me.
Okay.
First of all, I think you've already bought some annuals, and I know I see some other annual plants on this list, so I better point out first and foremost that these guys are going to be stuck in houseplants for at least another month. There's always the possibility of another cold snap, and even a little bit of snow, which even perennials are going to have trouble dealing with if it goes on too long. Stick annuals out in that kind of weather and they'll curl in on themselves and die.
They just get depressed like you, honey. I mean, what?
Yeah. Tomorrow, you should think about getting a couple tarps or something to cover your perennials in bad weather, and some bigger pots and such so you can resettle the annuals when they grow. If you don't remember, I'll try to remind you. Spoon nods steadily throughout my impromptu lecture.
While standing up spontaneously so he can turn and strike a pose.
Like the drive up here, he's not smiling, just looking at me with a neutral kind of expression and very intense eyes. I'm still not sure how I feel about getting that look from someone with eyes so pale. Next, you can draw me rough borders of where you plan on digging.
Okay.
The more seriously and enthusiastically he responds to me, the more I feel like I'm tutoring him in Landscaping 101 or something like that. And I'm seriously split on whether that's weirdly cute or whether I want him to cut it out. Both, maybe. Anyhow, Spoon is busy circling the area directly around the house in wavy borders. By the way, once we dig these areas up, do you have anything like bricks or rocks to line the edges with to keep the grass from growing back in?
Actually, I don't. I was thinking first we'd plant, and then on the last day or so, I could just go and pick some up.
That's fine too. Just don't forget, if you're the type that likes to have everything color coordinated, it might be better to do it afterwards anyhow. Spoon tilts his head in the other direction, his pencil pausing on the paper.
I've never really thought that much about that kind of thing, I guess. I just like flowers. And I like to have bunches of colors exploding on top of each other, like fireworks on the ground.
I guess there's that way of thinking too. Well, unfortunately, I'm going to be organizing your thoughts at least a little. If we're going to plant anyway, you might as well have a garden that's going to leave all your visitors speechless. If he had close neighbors, we might even be able to get them for clientele, is what manager would probably reason, but that is my honest opinion. If you're going to do it, you might as well really do it, especially if you care. Anyhow, I guess that means you've never tried programming your garden. Spoon is giving me a confused look and a pose, so I figure I better elaborate. That's a term for arranging flowers in terms of when they're going to bloom, so that you always have some color in every section of the garden, no matter whether it's spring, summer, or fall. You can organize things in actual rows, or just make sure that you have weaving patterns of flowers, so that some will be in full color while others are starting to fade, and then other groups of plants will be on their way to blooming at the same time. I guess the idea being that you might as well have something blooming all the time if it's a garden, and that way it's not going to be boring since you're not looking at the same plants all year. So there's that way of thinking too. Oh, that's you.
Oh, so there's that way of thinking too.
Spoon paraphrases my own thoughts about his lack of organization with an expression of wonder. I'm not going to say you have to do it, but that certainly is something to consider. And after we find good places to stick your annuals around the house according to what kinds of light they like, we should start deciding where we're actually going to put them so that you can leave space when we're planting everything else.
I just thought of something. If he's only been here a short time, has he really been here long enough to see what edges of the house gets the most light at certain times of year?
Right.
Like, living there for 1 month in April is not, like, you're not going to get the same amount of sun on the side of a house that you'd get in, say, June or October.
I'm sure that Mo would know that kind of thing, though.
I mean,
Judging
maybe
by the surrounding landscape and stuff.
Maybe she seems all landscape knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Sassy, get off my purse. Okay.
Spoon smiles, calmly letting me take charge. I still don't know whether that's just his laid-back nature or if he's too trusting.
Too trusting.
But the longer we talk, the more I start to feel like I'm getting a good grasp of his character.
Oh,
From what I've seen of him, Spoon's not just a natural airhead, he's very genuine, what you could even call innocent. He's willing to defer to others when they know better than him, like a child, and I don't sense any malice or negativity about him at all. He's really a demon, though.
Yeah, he's pretty much a demon.
Normally, this might be setting off my creeper man-child sensors, but somehow Spoon doesn't seem like that kind of person at all.
Honey, your sensors are broken.
I can tell. And again, it's not like my radar is flawless or anything, so I guess I have to take my first impression with a grain of salt. We settle in on a basic plan of attack, and then it's time to arrange the annuals inside the house before we go out to dig the grass. Spoon's big hands look incongruous as anything around the small pot of a baby hollyhock, but he holds it with the same extreme gentleness and care as I see in his expression. Having worked for so long at Hakoniwa, I've gotten to know all kinds of gardening enthusiasts.
Enthusiasts.
Yeah. From people who only care about the way their house will look when I'm done with it, to those who are deeply interested in everything that I might have to teach them. Spoon seems to care a lot about plants, given the way that he's handling his new seedlings like infant kittens. Even though the rooms are more or less bare, he fusses a bit with all the plants when we set them down near the windows in the light they're best suited for, and he asks me each time if he's doing things correctly. His hands are sure, but now he's acting like an overly worried parent. I know he's more than a total amateur, so I guess he just wants to be sure. And after that, we go outside.
Okay.
You okay?
I was doing a thing.
Oh.
You'll see when you get back to chat.
Okay. Spoon has a shovel for each of us, and a rake and a spade for turning the soil once we've gotten rid of the grass in the way. I prefer not to mark the ground with sprays and such when we have such a basic map to work by, and so I walk around the perimeter of the house with Spoon's rough drawing in hand, cutting through a layer of grass into the earth so that we'll have a guideline. We start work in silence. It's easiest to concentrate this way. And since it's been a while since my last job, the effort of breaking through sod and resistant earth is a bit of a strain on the arms. It feels kinda nice. I try to keep an eye on Spoon to make sure that he's not making any mistakes, but his movements are strong and precise. Like, surgically precise. His face is serious as he digs out the grass, with a little bit of tension in his forehead that doesn't go away until he's breaking up the cold soil beneath. Well, I guess grass is a plant too, after all. It's almost funny. Spoon's so tall and his hands are huge, but he manipulates shovel, rake, and spade very delicately. And as excited as he acted about planting flowers, he's still not the happiest about uprooting grass. In the first place, I guess it's incongruous that a guy who loves motorcycles would be this into gardening anyway, though. By the time we get done, there's dirt and grass stains all over both of our jeans, and soil smudges all over our hands. I usually don't garden with gloves on unless I'm working with thorny plants, or unless I've spent a long time painting with oils and my hands are extra sensitive because of the turpentine. I think that I handle flora better when I have full access to my sense of touch. And either because Spoon feels the same or because he's mimicking me, he worked with bare hands too. Which just means calluses. There's the dirt under our nails and lining the creases of our knuckles, and my hair is sticking to the back of my neck. Spoon's is plastered to his stripy cheeks and golden feathers. It's about the usual time my shift ends, so it's good that we've gotten this part done. We both go inside to wash our hands, and Spoon offers me another water. I don't refuse it. Instead, I go on and accept it without a word, just a nod of thanks. Maybe after all that quiet working side by side, there's enough sense of unity that it doesn't feel like imposing or a big breach of manners. And he's got a pose again.
Strike a pose. Like, it needs model music or something. I don't have model music.
It has music, but it doesn't have model music.
Yeah, but model music. I guess that's all for today then.
Spoon tilts his head to the side and asks me, so I nod.
Bounce,
Yeah.
booty, bounce.
Yeah, my shift would be over by now anyhow. We're at a good place too, since we can start planting tomorrow once you're done buying.
Doot. Okay, I'll drive you back to the store.
The exchange is simple, but it's also comfortable. The one thing that I really like is that this has changed now.
Yeah, that's actually nice. Usually they don't do that.
Yeah.
Usually it's like, listen, we spent all day digging up the yard, but we're not going to show you that we spent all day digging up the yard.
Yeah. I hope that this is about... It's not as far as we get in the thing, but... got in the thing last time, the last snapshot, but this... I really do hope that, like, plants and stuff start showing up when they start talking about it. I think that'd be really cool. I hope that that's what happens.
I would assume they've gone through the effort of doing this.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be that difficult to plop in some, pixel, fucking, my brain broke. It wouldn't be, hard to drop in clip art of flowers as they go.
I don't think that FeralPhoenix would do clip art, but okay.
No, I don't think that they would do clip art either, but I'm just saying, at the laziest.
Yeah.
That's what they'd have.
We go outside and Spoon hands me the helmet again as he's putting on his biking gloves and goggles. I don't have to wait for him to make space for me in the sidecar now, so I can just sit down and prepare myself for the noise. Not like just preparing myself makes it any easier to deal with. It's so loud. Still, the view of the scenery is changing and the clouds moving in the distant sky isn't so bad. The drive back to Hakoniwa is uneventful, and I don't think we could talk over the engine if we wanted to anyhow. I spend my time watching my surroundings to be sure I've got the route correct. We're pulling into the lot real soon. I get out of the motorcycle, extricate myself from the helmet, and hand it off to Spoon. Well, I'm headed home since my shift is over. I'll be back at your place tomorrow at around the same time to get started on the planting, but we still got a few days of work worth of work ahead of us.
Work of worth.
Yes.
Both are accurate. Okay. You'll find me in a tent. In the woods outside my house.
Just because.
Just because I think I'm going to pick up the tarps and things that you recommended while I'm here.
Sport. I wanted to say spoon reports, but I said sport. It's like a
Sport.
spork, but it's for
That's
reports.
he's now Spork.
Spork reports to me with his usual blithe expression. Actually, I've been turning the idea over in the back of my head, but I guess I may as well act on it. Would you mind much if I brought an extra pair of hands along? A friend is going to be curious about you if I mention you to her, and it'll help things get done more quickly. Besides which, you're probably not going to have to pay her. Spork tilts his head to the side as if mystified, but nods. It's kind of a spectacle given the angle.
Sure. I guess it wouldn't hurt to I guess it wouldn't hurt to have someone else if they're your friend, Mo.
He said that I might as well do it with him, so I guess I can't complain, but it's incredibly odd to have someone I barely know just call me by my given name like that. Well, at any rate,
He's got to be a foreigner if he keeps doing this and she keeps pointing it out.
Yeah. Or very, raised not here.
Yeah.
Well, at any rate, she's a friend of mine from high school, a year younger than me. She'll probably ask you a lot of stupid questions if she gets interested, but don't mind her if she says anything really bizarre. Don't worry about her skill level as far as gardening goes either. I've had her accompany me on a few big jobs before, so she knows to listen to directions. It's not like she's terrible either.
Such a vote of that pose. Such a vote of confidence, though.
Spork nods again, still looking a bit baffled and posing. It'll be less of a pain for me if I can just introduce him to Shu, since that way I won't have to be an information gopher. Besides, it ought to be amusing to see them interacting at least. They'll tilt their heads at each other, it'll be great.
Maybe she'll start striking poses. I don't mind. Well, I'll see you tomorrow then.
As he turns to go, maybe it's just that I really have been hanging out with Shu too long, but I have to ask. By the way, I have my own stupid question. You probably get this a lot, so sorry in advance, I guess. Spork pauses mid-step and looks at me with his guileless smile, inviting me to continue. Where were you born? Your hair and eye color are pretty uncommon, but given your name and you're fluent in Japanese, it's hard to think you're foreign. It might be a bit of a weird name, but it's a legitimate Japanese with kanji surname and everything.
Oh, so that's it.
Yeah, why not ask about the tattoos on his face?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be asking, hey, so, what's up with your face? Is that just your face, or,
did you
get a tattoo? Were you born
Were you
with
in
those?
jail?
Yeah. Did you lose a bet?
Spork turns towards me and folds his arms. He doesn't look offended, just a bit curious.
No, I know I'm kind of conspicuous looking, but, I was really expecting you to ask about the markings on my face. I really was born in Japan.
Huh. I think the way he worded that was a bit strange, but I guess that's one mystery solved. It does raise some more questions, though. His hair is really blonde and not orange, so I'm sure it's natural and not bleached, but that might be explained if he's got mixed heritage or something. Whatever. I've prayed enough for now. Right. Sorry for asking something so weird out of the blue like that.
No, it's okay.
We wave goodbye at one another and part for the day like any pair of friends. I have a planting job, Spork's weird but not in a bad way, and she's going to flip her shit when I drop this invitation into her lap. I guess all in all, today was a pretty productive work day.